those CD changers where they came with a cartridge and each little what do you want to call it, a leaflet?
Yeah.
You'd pull it out and you'd load a disc and then push that in and then load up the next one.
Yeah, I had one of those in my car, and for whatever reason they put the changer part like under the seat.
Right.
So you had to like reach under the seat to switch the disc. It was the dumbest fucking thing. I had one.
Yeah.
And remember when the big thing was the face plate?
The face plate. People couldn't steal your in-dash stereo.
Yeah. Meanwhile, what happened with everybody? They fucking broke the clip on the faceplate.
Yeah.
So then it wouldn't work. I went through like 3 of those.
I think Blaupunk came up with that or somebody like that. And not only that, but it came in its own little silk bag.
Yeah.
You pull your little faceplate off and put it in the little bag.
It either came with a bag or a case that looked like a glasses case.
Right.
Mine had the glasses case.
I had the one with the little silk bag.
Dude, I'm so old at this point. I had a Nakamichi tape deck. Nakamichi.
Wow.
And when it would flip to the other side, the tape would slide out. The whole thing would slide out. Then it would over and slide back in.
Yeah. I've seen that.
It was the dumbest thing. I paid a lot of money for that thing. I paid like $700 for that fucking.
I'm sure you did.
It was expensive as hell. I mean, Nakamichi was good gear back in the day, but yeah, it was a Nakamichi tape deck and it flipped it, like physically flipped the tape. It was funny. But
cool. I tell you what, back in the early 90s, 91, when I was driving a truck.
Yeah.
I started driving a truck cross country in May of 91.
Okay.
And I had I can't remember the brand. I'm trying to think of the brand that I had. It was a better brand. My brother-in-law at the time worked for Camelot Music.
Okay.
And he was able to get me a really good deal on an in-dash CD player.
Okay.
And the truck I was driving, it was an international cab over.
Mm-hmm.
And it had the place where the radio went was empty, it was open. So I was able to install this CD player in there.
Right.
Anybody who knows about anything about truck driving, especially back in the 90s, we're talking 2001, 28 years ago.
Yeah.
These trucks didn't have the best of suspension, air ride, and all that.
Right.
And so I had the CD player. I would say that it played pretty well for about 90% of the time. but because of the suspension and everything, if I was riding on some pretty rough road,
right,
I'm trying to listen to some CDs and stuff, boy, that thing would skip all over the fucking place.
Breaking down a hill.
It was.
Yep. You'd be going down a hill and be like,
Exactly.
My first, I bought a Samsung, and this is when CDs were very young. This was 80. Well, it was in Korea, so it was 87. Is when I first got to Korea.
Because when I was working at Camelot Music, the first CD came out. It was, I believe it was like Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that was the very first CD that ever came out, ever. Okay. And some representative from, I believe, Pioneer Music.
Right.
This was 1984, I believe it was.
Okay.
That he came to the store to give us a demonstration of compact discs.
Right.
And brought the CD player, and because we weren't even selling them then, because obviously there weren't any.
Right. Sure.
And he was, giving us a demonstration as to the future of music.
Yeah, man.
And brought the CD player, and of course, since it was so different, and it was something no one really had seen before, we were really all standing back there like he was doing magic tricks or something. Right. It's like, holy shit, look at that. So 3 years later in 87, pretty new technology even then. Go ahead.
The first one was ABBA, The Visitors.
Okay.
And the first new album. Oh, I didn't realize they were that old. The first new album released on CD I'm gonna see if you can guess even the artist. 1982, and it's a big artist.
Really?
Big artist, yeah.
So it's not Bruce Springsteen?
It's not Springsteen.
Wow. Okay.
In that mold though.
Okay. So the first artist on CD?
Yeah, the first one was ABBA in 81.
Really? On CD?
That's what it says.
I'll be damned.
The CD album was ABBA.
Okay.
The first new, apparently that was like a reissue. And then the first new album. You ready?
Go ahead.
Billy Joel, 52nd Street.
All right.
82.
Wow.
In Japan.
Okay, well that explains it.
It didn't come over to here till later. It couldn't have, because I had a CD player as soon as, I mean, I told the story on the show before that, I stole a CD and got caught before I ever got, because I knew I was getting one for Christmas.
Right.
In 85, I guess it would have been Christmas 85. And then my mom promptly took it right back once I got arrested. But yeah, I mean, I bought this one in 87. This is how long ago this was. It was a Samsung, and it didn't have any kind of remote control. It was a component piece, but it had no remote control to it.
Okay.
And it only had two buttons on it, stop and play. So you couldn't skip songs or anything. If you were going to listen to it, you had to play it from start to finish. Was the only way you could listen to music on this piece of shit. It was a real piece of shit. And I paid way too much for it, I mean, and I bought it out in Itaewon, so I didn't even get fucked by the American prices, and I still spent like $200 on this piece of shit. And it was the most annoying thing. It ended up, honest to God, one night I got really drunk in my room and got pissed off and threw it and fucking smashed it against a wall. But
wow.
But that was my first real CD player, was that one in 87. Piece of shit.
Wow, be damned.
And like you were saying with the cars, dude, I went and spent a huge amount of money getting a car stereo put in. My first ever car that I actually bought new was a 1990 Toyota Corolla. I was so proud of that fucking car. And so but immediately I couldn't have the AM FM radio. That just didn't even have a cassette. It was just an AM FM radio in it. And I could not have that. So I snuck out some money away from, we couldn't eat, but I fucking, of course, found a way to find $350 for a car stereo.
Right.
And I put this car stereo into my car. And I still remember the first CD I ever owned for the car, because I bought a CD with the car stereo, was Hollywood Vampires.
Right.
From
Guts. Yeah.
And I'm driving down the road and I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking rocking, and it's LA Guns, and I'm in this new car. Well, this car was a stick.
Yeah.
Every time I shifted gears, this fucking thing would skip.
All right.
For the length of time that I owned the car. Now, it wasn't like I was learning to drive stick. I was driving fine. I wasn't jerking or anything like that. It was just whatever I would push in the clutch, it would start skipping. Then I would shift gears, and then I would take my foot off the clutch, and then it would play again. It was the dumbest fucking thing. Like there was some kind of power thing or something.
Right.
It was so fucked, but it drove me crazy. And, every time, a lot of the time I had to go, Georgetta was stationed on the base I was stationed on, but she worked, it was like 100 miles down the road. She worked at Fort Hunter Liggett going south of Fort Ord.
Okay.
And it was like 100 miles away. So on Fridays I had to go get her. So I'd be in the car, after work, I'd be driving down the road and just getting fucking pissed, because this goddamn thing, every time I had to shift gears, it was great on the freeway, but once I got on the side roads, for what was about 25 miles,
right,
was going through a side road that had stop signs and everything else on the way. it was just skipping. Drove me fucking nuts. Oh my God, I would get down to Fort Hunter Liggett and she would look at me. She'd be like, "What's the matter with you?" I was like, "Nothing, just get in a fucking car."
I was mad because my music skipped.
Yeah, I couldn't listen to my Megadeth, God damn it.
Right.
Because I had to come and get you.